3 scotches and a beef eater.
Evening. Welcome to the Sandbar.
Now, Bud, I've heard a lot of conversation about the money you have made and spent. Your story may be true, but conversation is not the stuff with which we pay the rent.
Lay something on the bar beside your elbow, something like an old $10 bill. Lay something on the bar beside your elbow. We can't ring up your elbow on the till.
That was our entire ensemble. The Sandbar Choir, singing the song that kept them out of the big time. This includes Mary and Steve, who greet you at the door, check your IDs, and thereby separate the men from the boys. Denny, your bar manager, who came up with a clever idea. He painted the bar silver so people couldn't find their change. He also invented a drink that's part prune juice and part tang. It's called Prune Tang. Then your other mixologist is Charlie, and he invented the Boy Scout martini. You drink 2 of them and an old lady has to help you across the street. An old lady came into him the other day and said, "I want a double scotch and 2 drops of water." Charlie said, "That's the strangest order I've ever heard, ma'am." She said, "Listen, Sonny, when you get my age, you can hold your liquor, but you can't hold your water." And one of your waiters is Bob. He's going into the Marines soon. He's just been at Ohio University, where he took basket weaving. He thought it would be a snap course. 3 Navajos enrolled, raised the curve, and he flunked. Is you a Navajo?
No, I's a New Orleans hoe.
I see where 11 convicts escaped from a southern chain gang. Recently, it seems they made their way past the guards disguised as an immense charm bracelet. Another of your waiters is Arthur. He's from Virginia. And I was, the other night, thinking I had pleased him, I played Carry Me Back to Old Virginia. And there was a gentleman down here, an elderly gentleman, and as I sang the song, he pulled out his handkerchief and began daubing his tear-stained cheeks. And I thought, gee, I really have an impact on this guy. And I put my heart in the song, I gave it my all, and soon he was racked with sobs. And when I finished the song, I said, he was dissolved in tears by that time. I said, "Are you a Virginian, sir?" He said, "No, I'm a musician." And there's Terry. He's a Yale man and a lover. He said to Max the other day, "Boy, I was out with Annabelle last night, and she told me if I'd put the top down in my car, she'd do anything I wanted to do." Well, it took me 3 hours to get it down, but boy, was it worth it. And Max said, "My golly, it only takes about 1.5 minutes to get the top down on my car." And Terry says, "Yeah, but you've got a convertible." And Max is a Harvard man. Played a little football. Hey, played a little football at Harvard. And he told me a story about this big tackle that goes to his coach with his report card. And he says, "Coach, here's my report card." And the coach says, "Let's see, Moose. You got 3 F's and a D. Moose, it looks as if you've been allocating too much of your time to one subject." And also singing along there with our choir was a ringer, Dave Stackpole, ex-Sandbar and ex-Sister Kate's. He's from Dartmouth. I'm from Princeton, so the Ivy League was fairly well represented. Know the definition of an Ivy Leaguer? That's a guy who steps out of the shower to tinkle. I'm a pseudo-intellectual. Means I know a lot, but I can't think of it. Let's stamp out mental health. I was at my doctor's recently. He said, "What's the scar across the bridge of your nose?" I said, "That's from glasses." He said, "Why don't you try contact lenses?" I said, "They don't hold enough beer." My doctor told me I can't dance. Huh. He just can't lead. He also said, "Don't have sexual intercourse in the morning, because you never know who you're going to meet later on in the day." Good advice, huh? This fella had a tapeworm. Went to the doctors for a tapeworm. The doctor said, "Now I have my particular way of treating this." He said, "I want you to come in for, this is a 12-day treatment." He said, "I want you to come in for 11 days with and bring an egg and a cookie." I said, "What?" That's what I said. So comes in the first day with an egg and a cookie, which the doctor proceeds to administer first the egg and then the cookie rectally. So on for 11 days. On the 11th day, he said, "Now I want you to come in tomorrow and bring me an egg and a hammer." I said, "What?" He said, "That's what I said." So the guy came the next day with an egg and a hammer. The doctor proceeded to administer the egg. Pretty soon the tapeworm came out. "Where's my cookie?" Clonk! Those of you who just got here, welcome to Bob Stone's Sandbar in West Dennis on Cape Cod. May surprise you to find that's where you are. Oh, that's where we are. Because it's a little off the beaten track in the center of the Cape here, between the two extremes of Falmouth on one end and Provincetown on the other. Falmouth's a lovely little New England town that's kind of overrun during the summer. Gets a little wild. There was 3 years ago, Falmouth was declared a disaster area by the Alcoholics Anonymous. I know a college kid who went down to Falmouth on a panty raid and couldn't find any. Of course, he wouldn't have done any better in Provincetown. I went to a wild party in Falmouth one time. There were drunks and dope fiends and pimps and prostitutes and some people I didn't even know. I sensed the party was getting a little wild when they started doing the limbo under a Volkswagen. You know how the limbo got started? The Scotchman trying to get into a pay toilet. Reminiscing? Well, the party got wilder and wilder, and finally they started playing that game Swappies. You know, you heard that kind of thing where everybody throws his keys into the center of the room. Well, I ended up sleeping with a Chevrolet. It was I heard the darndest thing I've ever heard, and I'll never forget this. The walls of the rooms were a little bit thin, and I heard a guy's voice in the next room saying, honey, this wife swapping was really a good idea. I only hope our wives are hitting it off as well as we are. Well, I'll tell you what a wild party it was. When one gal was leaving, she turned around to wave goodbye to everybody and turned into a pillar of salt. Those of you who are just staring at me, you should have gone to Sunday school. Then in the center of the Cape, we have West Dennis. We have a beautiful beach here. It's a little crowded, but that's because it's popular. If you think the beach is crowded, though, you ought to see the bathing suits.
She wore a itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny yellow polka dot bikini, and it did seem kind of wrong to wear an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny yellow polka dot bikini when you're 7 or 8 months along.
Of course, not all the beaches on Cape Cod are on large bodies of water. Some of them are just on little ponds, some of the prettiest beaches around. I was swimming in one of these little ponds the other day, and one of the very attractive beach, and a guy darn near drowned, and a fella in authority pulled him up on the water's edge, and right there on the water's edge, he started giving him artificial perspiration, you know, the old way, out, pushing on his ribs and everything. Out goes the bad air, in goes the good air, and there on the water's edge, this drunk comes up and starts watching and pumping away, and pretty soon some water comes out of the victim's mouth, and the drunk's watching, and pretty soon some seaweed comes out of the victim's mouth, and the drunk's watching. Pretty soon a fish comes out of the victim's mouth. Finally, the drunk says, "Say, buddy, you better get that guy's ass out of the water, or you'll pump the lake dry." On a day like today, the cops took me away for writing 4-letter words in the sand. Oh, I love to write on walls, and especially toilet stalls, but I prefer 4-letter words in the sand. Now we're all reminiscing. And now a dramatic monologue. It was midnight. I was walking along the beach, and the waves were rolling in, and the moon was shining, and I was thinking of Alice. I picked a stick up from the beach, and I wrote in the wet sand, "Alice, I love you." And then I turned my back, and when I looked again, a wave must have come up from the sea and washed it out. Some time later, I was climbing the highest mountain, up through the eagle's nest, through the snows, to the very highest peak where I could look over all the other peaks and valleys, and I was thinking of Alice. And I picked a stick up from the ground, and I lighted the end of the stick, and with the smoking, flaming end, I wrote across the heavens, "Alice, I love you." I'd like to see the son of a bitchin' wave that can rub that out. Boy, that's acting, isn't it? My agent told me I ought to play Hamlet. I told him, the hell with those small towns. I just want to continue playing West Dennis, Massachusetts, and Stowe, Vermont. Stowe, Vermont is the ski capital of the East. And I am part owner of a saloon in Stowe, Vermont called Sister Kate's, which is the booze capital of the East. I was walking along the beach one night. And I stepped on a guy's back, and a girl's voice said, "Thank you." Red snails in my sunsuit. Two guys walking along the beach, and a seagull flies overhead. And one of the guys says, "Oh, my God, Charlie, have you got some toilet paper?" And the guy said, "What good would it do? That seagull would be way down the beach by now." Jewish birds, seagulls. Gentleman seagull said to a lady seagull, "Have you ever tried it in the sand?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you ever tried it in the water?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "You ever tried it in the air?" She said, "No." So he turned on the charm. Pretty soon he had her in the air, so to speak. A little while later he asked her, "How do you like it?" She said, "Oh, man, that's the only way to fly." Which brings us to Provincetown. On the other end of the Cape, a place where a fellow without a penny in his pocket can still live like a queen. Just before you get to Provincetown, the road forks, and you can go take either the beach road or the expressway into Provincetown. And Mr. Stone came back and said, "There's a sign there. It says Provincetown either way." What I'm talking about? Well, I was in this bar in Provincetown, and it was the darndest place I'd ever seen. In one corner, there were a couple of guys holding hands. In the other corner, there was a couple of guys kissing each other. I said, "This is a queer joint," to the guy I was dancing with. And he said, "Aren't you a queen?" I said, "No, I'm a princess. My mother's still alive." This drunk fag finds himself in high mass for some reason, and the priest comes down the aisle swinging the incense, and he says, "I say, Big Daddy, I dig your crazy dress, but your purse is on fire." Jesse James and his boys. Jesse James and his boys jump on a train out west, and Jesse lines all the passengers up against the side of the coach. He says, "All right, me and my boys are going to rape all the men and rob all the women." One of the guys in the lineup says, "Jesse, don't you have that backwards?" Little guy in back of him says, "You let Jesse rob this train." This fag in his little car has a wreck with a truck driver. And he gets out and he says, "Mr. Truck Driver, this is your fault. It's just as plain as it can be whose fault this is. We're going to get a police report and we'll determine whose fault this is because it's obvious it's yours." And the truck driver said, "Kiss my ass.
And he said, and don't think you're gonna settle out of court either.
Lay something on the bar beside your elbow, something like an old $10 bill. Lay something on the bar beside your elbow. We can't ring up your elbow on the till.
Without a penny, the wolf was discreet. He left me my feet and so I put them down on anything but the La Belle, La perfectly swell romance. Never gonna dance, never gonna dance, only gonna love, never gonna dance. Have I a heart that acts like a heart, or is it a crazy drum beating the weird tattoos of the St. Louis blues? Have I two eyes to see your two eyes, or see myself on my toes, dancing on radios for Major Edward Bowes? Though I'm left without a penny, the wolf was discreet. He left me my feet and so I put them down on anything but the La Belle, La perfectly swell romance. Never gonna dance, never gonna dance, only gonna love, never gonna dance. I'll put my shoes on beautiful trees, I'll give my rhythm back to the breeze. My dinner clothes may dine where they please, for all I really want is you. And to Groucho Marx I'll give my cravat, to Harpo goes my shiny silk hat. To heaven I give a vow to adore you. I'm starting now to be much more positive that though I'm left without my penny, the wolf was not smart. He left me my heart, and so I'll never go for anything but the La Belle, La perfectly swell romance. Never gonna dance, never gonna dance, only gonna love you. Never gonna
What does the future hold for us? What will the headlines be tomorrow? An unsure world is all we see around us. The mature world has lost control. So laughing we live top speed today, fearing tomorrow we won't matter. It's a cold world where people aren't important. When we're old world, will there be room for us? What if our ways leave you in confusion when we don't fit the molds you have made? As we try to accept the preferred illusion that we are not afraid, we must accept the world as it is. Try to improve it when we can, but it's a big world and easy to get lost in. So for now, world, what's wrong with having fun? Is it hard to understand us? You two once were young. That's not too bad, is it? To tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. When there was earth to plow or guns to bear, I was always there, right there on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Buddy, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Buddy, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we looked swell, full of that Yankee doodle-dee-dum. 50,000 boots went slogging through hell. I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember they called me Al? It was Al all the time. Say, don't you remember I'm your pal? Brother, can you spare a dime? Woe is me, shame and scandal in the family.
Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. In Trinidad there lived a family with much confusion, as you will see. There was a mama and a papa and a son who was grown, who wanted to get married and have wife of his own. He found a young girl who suited him nice, went to his papa to ask his advice. His papa said, son, I got to say no. The girl is your sister, but your mama don't know. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. The weeks went by and the summer came round, and soon the best cook on the island he found. He went to his papa to name the day. His papa shook his head and to him he did say, you can't marry this girl, I got to say no. The girl is your sister, but your mama don't know. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. He went to his mama and covered his head and told to his mama what his papa had said. His mama, she laughed and said, go man, go. Your daddy ain't your daddy, but your daddy don't know. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Everybody, woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. One more time. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Bill's Dance Hall in Bilbao, Bilbao, Bilbao was the greatest dance hall in the world, I'm sure. There you could, for just $1, hoop and holler, hoop and holler, hoop and holler, do a lot of things I wouldn't call so pure. All the same, I'm not so sure that if you'd gone there, you'd have liked it. 'Twas a special kind of place. Ah, brandy laughter hit you at the door, and the blades of grass grew right up through the floor, and the moon shone green through a roof of glass, and the music that they played there had such class. Ah, that Bilbao moon, where love was worth your while. Ah, that Bilbao moon, and people lived with style. Ah, that Bilbao moon, where did the time all go? Ah, that Bilbao moon, I guess we'll never know. I'm not so sure you would have liked it, ah, but then it was the greatest, it was the greatest, it was the greatest place on earth. Bill's Dance Hall in Bilbao, Bilbao, Bilbao has reopened under different management. Lots of palm trees, lots of ice cream, very flashy, very flashy. But you know it's not the same establishment. Now, I'll bet if you went in, you'd feel at home. That is, if neon and chrome are just your style. No grass is growing on that modern dance floor, and the moon shining through the roof is just a moon. And the music that they play is the kind you'd never ask for. Hey, Joe, play us that old-time tune, huh? that Bilbao moon. I guess we never know. I'm not so sure you would have liked it, but then it was the greatest, it was the greatest, it was the greatest place on earth. It was the greatest, it was the greatest, it was the greatest place on earth. Till they've all gone home, till they've said good night, join the party and let's be polite. Till they've all gone home, let your glances roam, look away from me. There's a love light that I mustn't see till they've all gone home. When we're alone once again, that's when I'll hold you, and then we'll share that last cigarette, kisses you'll never forget. Let's not think, serve another drink till they've all gone home. Be a busy wife, let's be patient, we're married for life, and they'll soon go home. Thank you. Well, it's 2:45, no one in the place except you and me. So said I'm up, Joe, got a little story you ought to know. We're drinking, my friend, to the end of a brief episode. So make it one for my baby and one more for the road. I've got the routine, drop another nickel in the machine. Feeling so bad, won't you make the music dreamy and sad? Could tell you a lot, but that's not in a gentleman's code. So make it one for my baby and one more for the road. You'll never know it, but buddy, I'm a kind of poet. Got a lot of things to say. When I'm gloomy, you simply gotta listen to me till it's talked away.
for my baby, and one more for the road. That long, long road. Good night, sweetheart. Good night.